Good morning, everyone. How are you doing this Sunday? I hope you're all fine. You're staying safe. You're staying indoors. Because, as you know, it's very important to stay indoors. There's a reason for it. I know it's hard and it's difficult because it's a forced confinement, but many governments have enforced this because it is the only way to flatten the curve. And if we have the ability to stay home, that's because we are privileged. So let's take a moment to reflect on that, because there are many, many people who do not have the ability to stay at home. They do not have the resources that you and I have, like, for example, talking to each other through, the internet. A lot of people are struggling to get food. So therefore, I am volunteering with Project Mumbai. We are feeding 70,000 people per day. And every day the requirement is just increasing. So there are many other organizations that are trying to fill the gap of the requirement, whether it is medical supplies or, masks, or even food and food rations. So do your bit. And we'd also like to thank the frontline staff, the doctors, the nurses, the first aid workers, the police, the municipal workers, etc., who are doing their best, and they have to stay far from their families as well so that they don't pass on the virus. So, we are really, really privileged if we have the ability to just stay at home and think up whatever we want to do. So, daily reflections is something that I thought of 3 weeks ago. It's already 3 weeks. They say if you do something every day for 3 weeks or 21 days, it becomes a habit. And I look forward to this because I wake up every day. I have to get dressed by a certain time and come and speak to you because this is a live show. This has also taught me to use different kinds of technology and to manage when the technology fails, because often a lot of things are beyond your control, similar to the COVID-19 virus, which is beyond our control. And whilst we may feel upset and, low, it's a good time to remember that there are only certain things within your control and there are many things outside of your control. So for today, for example, my guest, Mina Lopezlugo, who is the founder of ProbonoVenture, she's in Mexico. And we chatted yesterday and she confirmed. But unfortunately, I don't know, she is unreachable. So I'm assuming she fell asleep because it is past 1 a.m. in the morning over there. For whatever reason, I can't get hold of her. If she joins in, well and good. If she doesn't, I have another guest joining in a little while. You see, I have wonderful, wonderful friends who I call them, I make an SOS call and they say, okay, they'll be on. So we'll give her 5 minutes to join us. But in the meantime, I'd like you to, check previous episodes. We've done 20 other great speakers, and they've shared their work, they've shared their passions, they've been across different fields of work. So we had Satya, for example, who works with farmers, helping them get a better yield and a better return on their crop. And right now, food security is so very important. So I'd encourage you to check out his talk. We had Eliani, who is from Singapore, a former diplomat working with the Kailash Satyarthi Foundation, and she's based out of Colorado. She was supposed to start her Arctic trek ski trip to the North Pole to raise awareness on child sex abuse yesterday. It would have been yesterday that she would have started that ski trip, and unfortunately, because of COVID-19, she had to cancel. Imagine a year of training, and a lot of investment has just gone, has to be put aside or postponed. And the previous year, she had climate change that impacted her trip, and she was not permitted to take off and land at the furthest airfield, because the ice had already started to melt. And yesterday we had Girish Nair, who explained to us his journey with Iron Man, and it took him 10 years to start training and complete an Ironman within 17 hours. That's quite a feat, But I learned a lot from that because it's about the long term and not the short term. A lot of people focus on the short term gain. But, life is a marathon. It's an accumulation of all your experiences. And it's really about perseverance, resilience, all the things that are needed to help us get through this COVID-19 experience as well. Or whenever you're going through a low phase. But it's also, this phase is a moment to pause and reflect, because otherwise our lives are so busy that we don't really have the time to, pause, to spend with our family, to spend with ourselves. For example, myself, for the last 3 or 4 years, if you've been following me on Facebook or you're friends with me, you would realize that, my travel schedule has been extremely hectic. And it's been, necessary. I've been trying to cut down on my travel and passed it on to, my colleagues, Supri, Tanya, and others. But even then, it's been hectic. And at this point, it was necessary because, Red Dot Foundation Safecity is still growing. So I had to do it. But when you have this pause, you can get back into a routine. You can choose to, start your exercise. That's another thing that I have started regularly every morning. I do it on Zoom with my Fit for Life fitness colleagues. A shout out to Dimple and Brian Sofer. They are amazing. You might want to reach out to them. They make fitness fun. It's not difficult at all. They make the exercises easy for you to accomplish. So I'd really like to encourage you to make that small step. It's these little things in life that really make a difference. And then we also had Kiran Manral, who's explained how she's taken this opportunity to pause and, take a sabbatical in a way from her other job to concentrate on her books. She is writing right now, and she's an amazing author. I have to still, I'm just messaging someone, but yeah, she's an amazing author. Yesterday on Twitter, I read somebody saying that one of her books, Missing, Presumed Dead, has an ending that leaves a lot to your imagination, and that you can figure out for yourself what happened, but it's your own interpretation. So if I read the book and you read the book, maybe we reach two different conclusions. So yeah. So I'm going to add Pratima to the live stream. And you will see, technology is not always that easy to accomplish. Hi, Pratima, how are you?
Hi, Elsa. How are you doing? I hope you can see me. I had some internet issues this morning. So I'm logging on. I'm logging on from my phone. And I'm showing you my beautiful garden here, which my granddad built for many years.
Wonderful. Where is this? Can you tell everyone?
I'm in a tiny coastal village in Karnataka called Malpe. It's near Udupi.
Wonderful. And you also have access to the beach, right? Because your family home is along the beach. So whilst we are cooped up and cannot step out, you are taking evening walks along the beach and enjoying the sea breeze and the noise of the crickets, etc.
It's very, very humid right now, but yeah, I feel very grateful to, to be able to walk around, just hear the beach, watch it. Yeah, I feel very, very grateful because, as you know, I spend most of my, rest of my time in Bombay or Bangalore, which, at this time during the lockdown, it's not the best place to be. I mean, you start to value things like air and sun during this time, right? Like basic things.
So, I was just talking about, today my session was supposed to be with Mina she's an amazing woman from Mexico who started the ProbonoVenture, which is all about volunteering. And I was looking forward to chatting with her, but, we can't get through to her. And it's past 1 a.m. in Mexico, so I have no idea what the issue is. And therefore, we have to pivot always. And, so same like that in business, we've had to pivot because of COVID-19. So tell us a little bit about what pivots you've made, because you are a multi-business owner.
I have my own business, which I founded many years ago now, which is focused on sustainable urbanization. So the consulting work there, in a way, continues because we are planning and designing, so we have a lot more time to, think through strategies for, better urban design. My family, like I said, has a hospitality business in the coast of Karnataka, and obviously we are, we will be the frontline in terms of disruption. I think the hospitality industry is going to be at the front line of the crisis because it's going to take a long time and complete change in the way we operate, I think, in terms of hospitality business. So and the virus has its own timeline. So, we'll have to wait to see how the pandemic progresses and figure out how all of us can emerge post this crisis.
Yesterday, we spoke a lot about the travel industry in the sense from an aviation perspective. And clearly, it's going to take a beating. It's always taken a beating when there's a major world crisis. So, for example, during the global recession or during SARS, Cathay Pacific, for example, was most hit because their base is Hong Kong. But it's also a resilient industry and keeps coming back. So I hope hospitality will also, come back with its own bang.
And we are in leisure hospitality, and leisure hospitality, resorts are almost, we are in rural, very isolated areas of the country, and I often say that the travel and tourism economies in those areas are almost like the bedrock to the economy. We are obviously there's not just our immediate community of workers, but also the larger ecosystem of suppliers and vendors who depend on the hospitality economy for their livelihood. So they're in a way they're the bedrock of the economy. So this pandemic has been ripping through so many different parts of our community, and we're just we're in very early days still. But as an urbanist, I think we both do this series on inclusive urbanism, and I have to say that I think as someone who thinks about future of cities, I think that this pandemic will offer us an amazing opportunity to push for the ideals of sustainable and equitable cities, because people can see what a health crisis can do to our communities. So I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for anyone working on sustainable and equitable, urban design, or anybody who's working on sustainable development goals. I think this pandemic will push us towards those goals more in a more kind of impactful way. So I think it's, in a way, if you take the radical view, there'll be some kind of shift in consciousness and perspective of how we should all live post this pandemic.
So you and I are co-creators on many things. We love whenever each of us has a brainwave, we call up the other, and we've always found a kindred spirit to take that risk. And even if we have no clue what we're doing, we make an attempt, right?
Yes.
To make it
Just
happen.
do it.
And just do it. Just do it is a mantra.
Exactly.
And this whole experiment using live cast streaming software has been one of those. So, for example, Prathama introduced me to this software because we were going to start this inclusive city series that we were doing with Stanford. Actually, we had a grant to do an in-person session in Mumbai in April, but of course that is now cancelled indefinitely, and instead we converted it to an online series. And then we reached out within our networks to all the experts that we knew in urbanism, and we were surprised that so quickly they agreed to come onto our show. And we've now built a community. Tell us more about this community and what has been your reaction, Prathama? And did it really, did you think that it would be such a success? At least success in our terms, okay?
Like I mentioned, like you mentioned, this was a quarantine experiment. We were both, our way of kind of dealing with this quarantine and entertaining ourselves. And I am so grateful for those amazing intellectual conversations on the future of our world that emerges every week on Wednesday and Friday every week, where when we think about cities and the future of cities from a inclusion angle. And I think I call it my mind spa, Elsa, because there's just so much stimulating ideas that emerge from that. And I think that's just the first level of success for us. And I think the amazing community that that comes together every week from all over the world. We have people from Russia, Egypt, Florida, obviously all over India, from Delhi to Kerala, and it's amazing to think through our kind of common future during one of the greatest challenges that we have faced as humanity, and kind of learn from each other. And it's really fun for me.
And I can't wait for Wednesday. Tell us. You want to tell them about our next guest?
We've actually now scheduled almost I feel very professional about this, but we've scheduled for the next 6 episodes till May 8th, right? On Wednesday, we actually have a really fun session because we have Hepshiva ji, who's an IS officer here in Karnataka, who's leading the war against Corona. She's actually heading the Corona war room in Karnataka, and she's also the CEO of Bangalore Smart City. So I'm really excited about that conversation. And next Friday, we are going to be talking to some leaders, police leaders from across the country, which is going to be fun. And one of my favorite heroes of urbanism is also going to join us, Enrique Penaloza, on the 8th of May. And anybody who's thought about cities, he's someone who's actually made change happen in his city in Bogota in Colombia. So that was such a coup to get him to talk to us. So that's going to happen on May 8th. But we're going to put a schedule out hopefully in the early part of next week, and I hope everybody joins in. It's really about future casting, about our collective future, right? Like most of urban humanity now lives in cities. So if you can make it more equitable and humane, you'll really solve the big problems of the world.
And I find these discussions really stimulating because you can write whatever you want on Facebook, and there'll be people who bombard you, they make it into a communal angle, a religious angle, a bhakt angle, whatever they want to make it. But, when you have these discussions like this, it actually helps other people think through different perspectives and also educates. including, I may not have all the answers, but I want to make that difference, and I want to learn, and I want to make that change. My mantra has always been, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So I'm educating myself, and I'm engaging in intellectual stimulation. And so this daily reflections also has been part of that. So do you think that these, the Wednesday and Friday, have kept you sane, and you look forward to, putting it together? And there's a lot of work involved, right? Like making the creative, promoting it, thinking about the questions, reaching out to these people, wonderful people who are so busy and willing to give their time. And now we are thinking of actually writing a couple of op-eds on it as well. So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, my team has been really amazing. The Urban Vision team, who's been kind of watching this, following us, and helping me put together not just the creatives, but also putting it out there for the world to come to see us. Yeah, I think it is a lot of work, and I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy, reaching out to our guests, talking to them beforehand. Like I said, it is like my mind spa. And at this time, when there's just so much, you can actually kind of go into that spiral of, the negativity. I mean, the news is full of, horrific stories. So in a way, this is just, for me, it's very hopeful to do this and, contribute in some way.
So that comes back to the point I was making earlier, that you can control what is within your control, but and you can shape how you want to live your life and how you want to spend your time and the choices you make. And there's a lot that is outside of our control, and we've also had tech issues on that show, but we've been patient, we managed it well. And so thank you, Pratima. I know this is a Sunday for you, so thank you very much for joining, and for also coming at very short notice to fill in the gap. Thank you very much.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining me. I know you may have wanted to hear from Mina, but unfortunately we couldn't get hold of her. So you've had to listen to me doing a recap. Here are the previous episodes of Daily Reflection. You can catch it on my website, ElsaMarieDSilva.com, my series. And tomorrow you can join me at 10 a.m. We have Chaitali Mehta, who is the executive director at EKF Global. It's a logistic company. It's a family business, but she made it her own. So do join in. There's a lot of learning. She's a fun person. Her TED Talk at TEDx Warsaw was amazing. So do join in. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Sunday. Do stay in, stay safe, stay healthy, and take it easy. Bye.